Okay, we're live. Welcome back to the Proudmasculine Live on the Drive. As you all know, lately, strapped for time, I find myself in the middle of a day having to make a commute. Pretty long commute. Something that, some bullshit. I'm not even going to get into why. Anyway, we're here. So, what better time to take the opportunity to get on a live and connect and kind of sort through some things that, I'm dealing with currently in the moment. This is just something that has crept into my awareness today. Doing all this running around and tying up loose ends and getting bombarded with people's and all these things. And it's something that's come to my awareness is, what's up, Rara? Go kill it. 18.6. You got that. Go get it, killer. Ain't nothing but a little walk, huh? You got that. Well, good. What I'm about to say may even apply to you in this particular situation, especially in your chosen career field. It's put your image, your future, and your well-being into other people's care, especially small-minded, average-thinking people who look at you and place restrictions and limitations and judgments based on their own self-image and worldview. Meaning, you don't go throwing around big ideas in a small-minded or average circle of people. You'll never get the reaction you want. Not only will you not get the reaction, you're going to get a lot of pullback and resistance from the destination path you're on and trying to take. You're going to get a lot of resistance and flack from most people who are afraid to step outside, take chances, and get on. And this comes from family, friend circles, society, that the things you're trying to achieve are big. You're trying to do big things and go big places. And you know that you're going to have to step out a little bit. You know what's required. You know, and it's a little scary because you don't know for certain what's going to come of it. But you're willing to do that. You have enough faith in yourself and confidence in your vision and belief and faith in God and your vision that you're going to do it. You're going to go for it. And this is why, I tell my guys, especially the guys I work with, keep what you're doing close to the vest. Keep your hand close to your vest. Because what will happen is, if you try to, thank you, top three, said I look like a psycho killer. I played a killer in a small independent movie. How you like that? It was a revenge flick about this lady who's coming after the killer who killed her husband, and I was the killer. Isn't that interesting? So good, I fit the role. That's why they asked me. Anyway, my path is not what you're going to hear about from a career counselor. All right, well, your personality fits this and this. Go get a job working 9 to 5. If by this age, if you do this and this, you'll get promoted here and you'll have this much saved. And by the time you're ready to retire, I don't subscribe to that. That never made sense to me. There's too many holes and flaws in that system that I see. Now, you may look at it and say, yeah, but it's a sure thing. And it should bring you some comfort and ease and some security. Well, it doesn't. Not to somebody like me. That doesn't seem comfortable and secure and certain. What that looks like is I'm leaving the fate of my future in somebody's hands who doesn't know me and has nothing invested in me. Why would I invest my full time and energy into somebody or some corporation that's going to use me to make themselves wealthy and successful long term and set their family's wealth up? And I'm going to get peanuts out of that. Yet I have to apply myself as if I'm working to secure my family's generational wealth. That I'm working as hard to set not only my future, but my sons' and grandkids' futures up. I'm supposed to go work hard for somebody like that who's giving me a fraction of the value that I bring in with no questions asked. And at any point, they can downsize, decide I don't fit, do away with my position, tap me on the shoulder one day and say, hey, we really don't need you anymore. So that seems like it's unreasonably just like it's no deal for me. I would rather take my abilities, my skills, my talent, my ambition, and go apply that same intensity to myself and make something work. Now the thing is, you can have the belief in yourself and know, but there's going to be a period when things don't look like they're going as you think they should be. And that's the scary part. When the result is in the future and it's unknown. It's a gamble. I don't consider it a gamble because I know I'm gonna make it fucking work. But there's still an uneasy feeling like, wait a minute, I'm in a really sticky situation right now. Things seem to be standing still or going backwards, and things are coming at me from every different direction and every facet of life. And in those moments, I think, I'd rather just have a place to show up, punch a clock, do my job, and move on with my life. But then I think that's crazy. I would be so miserable doing that. And how do I know? Because I've done it. And it is miserable. Would I be on somebody else's clock and somebody else's direction, getting paid peanuts to make them wealthy, while everything I have to give to them is expected to be given to this circumstance, this situation, this job, this responsibility, career, whatever. And the whole time I'm thinking, I could be doing this for myself. I could be applying the same energy and intensity into my own thing and getting a better result. Why would I do that? So the problem with investing your time and your thoughts and your energy and all into people who can't see your vision as clearly as you do is that it'll cloud the path. It'll muddy up the waters because more people are going to take the safe bet, the safe option, the sure thing, the comfortable. Stay in your comfort zone. Go work for such and such a place. Do this for so many years. It's a guarantee. It's a sure. And if the fact is, it isn't a guarantee. But then, way more people, exponentially more people, will pick that over than go bet on yourself. Go take a chance. Here's the dangerous part about that. There are more people that think like that than there are people who have big plans and think big. So you start to kind of question and doubt yourself. Wait a minute. I've told 10 people, and 10 people have asked me or doubting my plan or questioning. They go, why don't you just do this? Am I the one who doesn't know what I'm doing? Am I doomed to fail? Is this whole thing I have going that I have so much belief and vision and faith in that is this a figment of my imagination? Is this unreachable? Is this unattainable? That's why you can't tell people. Unless you have a tight circle of people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, to remind you, hey, you're on the right path. Like, hey, look, I was doing the exact same thing you were doing. Here's the difficult times that I experienced. Here's the things that I battled with. And most oftentimes, you're going to find those people, and they're going to have a completely relatable experience as to what you're going through right now, that tough time. And they're able to tell you what happens when they kept going, or something they did in the middle of that to make it through. And then you'll hear the story. Yes, I went through that exact same thing. I was struggling. The money wasn't coming in as much. I was really afraid, and people were bombarding me with, why are you doing this to yourself? And why don't you just do this and this? But I stayed the course. I did what needed to be done, even though I was uncertain and it was scary. But here's what happened on the other end. That's when I got this really big deal. That's when I hit my stride. That's when I caught the big break. That's when all this stuff seemed to align and catch up with my dream and my vision. So don't let other people's limitations about themselves and their inability to see past, to see big things and internalize that, become your demons. Don't let their limited beliefs and thinking become your limited beliefs and thinking. And that's most often what happens. Think about when I was growing up, my family had a poor man's mindset. Very, very scary, limited. It was all about, get your little job, finish high school, get you a little job in something, work for that company for years, take whatever they give you, live within your means, which is not a bad thing for the time being, if you're living below your means for the time being to accommodate the circumstances you're in. But don't think big. Don't think outside of the box. Don't think ahead to all the potential that you can apply to life and have success. This set me back years in my life, buying in. But growing up in your circumstance, you really don't have any choice but to absorb that. Even though you have that gut instinct, that gut feeling, that the same thing that I've had since I was a kid, like, no, this don't make any sense. I live in society and I see people who are content and happy and wealthy and secure. And I'm thinking, well, they're doing it. How can you sit here and tell me this is the only way, that this is the best way to do it? Yet I hear about how miserable you are, how much stress it is, how hard it is to get by, how you never have anything you want, how financially you're living so tight. And you express how miserable you are, yet I'm supposed to take your advice. When I'm around a bunch of fucking and winners and men who will fucking attack life, don't day to day. It's when people, through business, socially, or even family, after a certain period of time, I start finding myself thinking, like, wait a minute, are you doing the right thing? Like, you sure this is gonna work? You sure? Like, I start doubting myself. Those demons come back up. All of the things that I've worked to overcome and conquer, which is those limiting self-beliefs and that old story that I used to tell myself about who I was and what I was, and all that stuff begins to creep back to surface. And all these people are telling me, because in fact, it's not because of me. It's because they're afraid. They don't believe. They have no vision. And these are the people you need to avoid. These are the people you need to avoid like the plague, and the ideas and the sentiment, the whole energy of that existence. And you have to be very intentional about it, because more of the world exists in that energy and that state of mind than individual thinkers who really believe in something bigger. And I'm not saying it's always done out of spite and vengeance. Like, oh, I'm gonna sabotage this guy. It's not always done in that. It is sometimes. And some people mistakenly do it from a place of care. I'll give you an example. My mother, very small-minded, always terrified of everything in life. ooh, what if this don't work? Oh, what if I can't do this? Oh, what if? But it's never done anything to challenge that. Never put herself out there to see what she's really made of. Even my dad too is the same way. They're telling me from a place of concern, like, hey, I don't want to see you weigh yourself down. I don't want to see you get disappointed. I don't want to see you fail. Da, da, da. All these things, that's the place they're coming from to try to express, why don't you do it this way? And so even though people aren't doing it from a spiteful place or a hurtful place, they're still throwing a wrench in the works. They're still muddying up the waters. They're still delaying. You know, if you allow that old stuff to creep up and start holding you back and get you second guessing yourself and doubting. And then lo and behold, I'll have a conversation with somebody who we're on the same level, same people, doing the same thing I did, and they'll be like, oh yeah, man, you're good. Yeah, I've been there. Oh man, last year I hit this low. I didn't have money coming in for 6 months. I tapped my savings. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Talk about fucking scared. I had to sell off a few assets, but you know, I made it through that, and I got back on top. Here's where I'm at. I'm actually further ahead than where I was last year, despite having to go through that. Just part of the game. Then it's like I take this sigh of relief. Like, whew, okay, I'll remember what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and where I'm going and who I am. So that's what I wanted to express. This is something that has come into my awareness over the last 2 hours. It's just one of those days where I get up, I got everybody pulling the string of my sweater. Like, hey, I need you here, need you here, need you. What about this? What about it? And it's like, fuck. And then I start kind of feeling sorry for myself. Why doesn't anybody paying attention? Why isn't anybody asking how I'm doing? Who gives a fuck? It's not their job. It's not their jobs to do that. It's your job to maintain focus and to keep moving forward despite the current circumstance, the temporary current circumstance. And I think that's been the theme of my lives the whole month, being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, is your circumstance, your situation is temporary. It's not set in stone. It's not permanent. It's just a part of the journey. You're only going to be stuck in that thinking and that situation as long as you allow yourself to be. And that is, the sooner you realize that this is just a temporary moment, just a glitch in the system, that part of the growth process, part of the leveling up process is stagnation and even sliding back a bit here and there. And that's important to understand. It's important to be armed with that information, because it's not a matter of if the time comes, it's when these come about. Your own information, like, okay, don't, let me detach from stress and this fear I have for the moment. And let me plug in some logic. Let me pull back, get a 10,000-foot view of what this is, what led up to it, and how am I going to get through this and get back on track where I need to be, bigger, faster, stronger. So at the very least, if you know and understand that it's temporary, it's part of the process. Everybody who's made it to the top has gone through these issues and these struggles. The same applies. We're no different. We're not exempt. We're not the exception where we don't have to pay some dues sometimes. Or we have to squirm in our seat a little bit while things are unfolding. And that goes for any area of life, in your relationships, in your business, your fitness journey, your martial arts journey. You're always going to hit these plateaus and even little dips. But the trend should be a steady upward trend, even with little dips in it. Over time, the trend should be an ascent with temporary drops and plateaus. That's perfectly normal and healthy. And those times are part of the experience that forge you into being unbreakable and immovable. That's the times you learn to build resilience and practice perseverance and faith. The most important thing of all that, faith. Faith in God that He's got your back, that He's watching, He knows what He's doing, and He's proven to you that you know what you're doing. And hence the faith comes back full circle. God knows if you have faith, you're going to rely upon Him. Then you got nothing to worry about. Things will recover. And not only will it recover, it's going to be better than before the downtime. And that's the truth. And what I've learned over time is those times only last as long as they need to for you to have this realization that this is just part of the growth process and part of leveling up. Nobody's exempt. The problem is we see the social media or whatever success stories of these, whether it be an athlete or a millionaire or a billionaire or a celebrity or all these successful people. Nobody documents the journey. Nobody documents from the bottom up. The only thing you see is these people pop up out of nowhere and said, here's how I made $1 million in a year. Here's how I made my first million. They have one guy out there who's really good at communicating the process, and it's Alex Hormozi. And he talks about being in debt, sleeping on the floor of a gym. He bought a rundown gym that went tits up on him, and it looked bleak. He was broke. He's depressed. And he's really good about communicating like, hey, it's going to be harder than you think it is. Think about how hard it's going to be and understand that you don't know it's going to get harder than that. But keep going. And that's an important message that he sends, an important information that he conveys is that nobody comfortably took a magic pill. I mean, unless you're born into millions, but that's not the case for me, and it's not the case who I'm talking to. Like, nobody had that handed to them. There was a process, a long process of learning, discovering, falling flat on your fucking face, get back up, dusting off, and getting back to it, and dealing with incredibly crippling uncertainty and stress. Long days, sleepless nights, day after day after day of nothing happening. And the difference between people who make it and the people who don't is those people could endure that time. They can endure those times. Simple in theory, difficult in application. So that's it. That's all I really wanted to say, because I'm having one of those days where I'm doubting. Like, what am I doing? I'm spread out so thin, and all these things keep popping up. I'm getting the weather, then a mistake, and then this person not being where they're supposed to be when we said they were going to be there. And, you know, this check hasn't come in, and this material hasn't come in. Now I'm delayed again, and I get overwhelmed with fear that because a one-day setback can cost me a week. Then I got to think. Like, is this really the end of it? Is this just one of those times that I've experienced that? So then I shift my attention to what do I need to learn about this? How can I use this experience to help me? What is God preparing me for? What about this whole experience am I supposed to learn? What did I do to allow myself to have gotten in this position? And what can I do right now to shift the momentum back? What can I do? And I guess the underlying message is keep going. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have to live. Don't let other people's small-minded, limited, fearful thinking permeate your vision. Don't let that thinking intrude into yours. Stay focused. Stay ahead. Stay moving forward. Because if you sit in that doubt long enough, you're going to talk yourself out of it every fucking time. And that your biggest demons are the ones that are speaking to you in your own head. It's the afraid parts of you that fear loss and suffering and uncertainty. That's what you got to battle more than anything outside of you. But again, it's okay. That's natural. That happens. It's part of the growth process. So hang in there. Stay focused. Stay strong. Stay prayed up. Stay steeped in faith. And know this is part of the plan. This is part of the design. And it's not designed to break you. It's designed to build you, to forge you. Seriously. So that's all I have for today. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you have not yet, hit that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'll see y'all on the next one.